All right, welcome. I believe today is ride number 13 on this mare, Warda. I've had her now for about 2.5 months. Been working with her for that period of time. And overall, I'm pretty pleased with her progress. I purposely didn't put this on until we got the camera rolling because I wanted you to see where she is with the head shy thing. And it's pretty much, I won't say gone, but it's way better with everything except the bit. All right, and she's pretty good now to let me just walk into the pen and put a halter on her. In this case, the hackamore wasn't perfect, but it's pretty good. I have not used a bit on her for the last probably about 10 days or maybe even 2 weeks. What I did starting yesterday was I decided to put the bit over the hackamore and just let her carry it. And I'm going to show you, this is where you can really see that head shy stuff start coming out. And give me a second, this has been sitting in the sun, I want to cool it off. So I've had to kind of compromise a little bit with her, and you have to on some of these horses, at least temporarily, do a little compromising so that you can get it done. So how I've been able to get the bridle on her is this. Is I just, and this, you can call this cheating if you want, is I just give her a treat here, which she really likes, and then I'll slide that bit into her mouth while she's chomping on it. And you can see that didn't go very well. But I will remind you, this is the second worst head shy horse I've ever seen, and it's taken longer to get her over it than any other horse I've ever seen. So, you know, whatever you can do. So the bit's the only time when she really is fussy like that. With the halter or the hackamore, she's okay. So I'm just going to let her wear that bit for the next week or so. Depending on how long I have this horse, I might go ahead and start riding her again with a bit. I'd kind of prefer to do that. But until she gets to where she's not going to be just overly fussy about it, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I am going to, today, for the first time, ride her with Spurs. And I'll show you how I introduced them. I did this once before with her. It was about 2 weeks ago. And she didn't handle it very well. So I ended up not riding her with Spurs. So I have not yet ridden her with Spurs. Okay, so this is how I introduce it, because I don't want to get on the horse's back and then shock them with the spur. And my spurs are pretty dull. You know, they're not painful in any way. But what I'll do is I'll just reach back here where my foot would be, and I'll touch her with that spur and ask her to move that hip. And she's probably going to get swishy-tailed. Okay, because that's what she does. There we go. All right, and this is where I had the trouble with her before. When I touched her up here by the cinch, she got pretty nasty about it. Now that's way better. And actually, I'm just touching her with the flat part of the spur right there. Okay, good, good. Okay, and back here again, just gently touching her, asking her to move. Okay, so with anything you do with a horse, you should introduce it from the ground first. All right, that's just, as my dad would say, using your head for something besides a hat rack. So she's getting swishy-tailed and not wanting to move, so I just do what I would do with my foot. First I pushed, and then I did alternating pressure. There. So she'll be used to it if I have to do that from the saddle. Good girl. Okay, now I'll touch her right here. Okay. Okay. All right. So she doesn't really like it, but she's handling it. Okay. And I may not hardly put much pressure on her with the spur when I'm riding her. I don't really know. That'll kind of be up to her. But I think she's ready. The reason I decide how I know when I'm going to start using spurs on a horse, usually it's between 10 and 20 rides, is when they start getting a little dull to my leg or my foot. Then I'll use the spur, because I don't want them to start thinking they can ignore my cues. Okay, so we're ready to get a ride on her here. I believe this is ride number 13. I kind of lose track at some point in this process. I believe it is, and I don't typically have to bend her around when I get on her anymore. She stands pretty good. Frankly, for a horse with 12 or 13 rides, I think she's doing pretty well. I'm pretty pleased with it. Okay. Make sure, okay. So I'm just going to flex her here. This is getting better. I think if I remember the last video I made, which is about a week ago, she was pretty stiff on the right. So since then, I've worked on the right. Now she's pretty good on the right and she's stiff on the left. At least that's what it was yesterday. So you can see by putting that bit over the hackamore, when I pull on the hackamore, I get a little bit of pressure, a little jiggle on that bit, but not enough to bother her. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's just walk her off here.